Namaskaram again. Um, we had just not long ago when I started this video, we had some broadband issues, unfortunately, and I lost, unfortunately, the bandwidth, you see. So the video basically ended, and I am not about to give up on this significant topic. I'm not about to give up on the significant inquiry. So I restarted the video. However, it's not even though even though it's not my fault, I have no control on the broadband and how strong of the signal can be at any given moment. However, it's the right and polite thing to do. So I apologize about the disruption. I would repeat the question again, and then we'll go into it. It is a very significant inquiry. If you watched the little bit of the last video before there was interruption, unfortunately, of the broadband, you would realize what the question was. However, I am going to repeat the question. The question is, a person contacted me through email and they said to me or asked me or inquired me that what is the best way to live? You see, in all those years that you have lived, um, in all those years that you have lived so far, what is the best way in your eyes to live? So, as I said, as we all do, we are going to look into it together and we are going to inquire, we are going to look into it profoundly, and we are going to look into it so deeply there remains no confusion in our awareness. Okay. What is the best way to live? The best way to live, imagine, now, first of all, now remember something. You see, the word remember, always remember the word remember. Is now remember something. What happens, the best way to live is, this is the answer to the inquiry, is live without fear. The best way to live is live without jealousy. The best way to live is live without resentment. The best way to live is live without prejudice. The best way to live is live without distinction, to live without discrimination, to live without competition. You see? So when you take all these negative traits out of your awareness, it's a given that there remain no contradiction or friction in awareness. The best way to live without doubt. This is the answer in the nutshell to the person. And we will look into it in more profound way. We will look into it now in more detailed way. You see, we will look into it deeply. So first thing, that as there is a very brief and small Um, there is a very brief and a small example right now. When I started this video, not this particular one in which I am not losing any bandwidth, but the previous part when I started the video, this is in the continuation. There was a disruption and I lost the bandwidth between the router and my phone. Unfortunately, it's back now. um so I started the video. It's always immature and of course the disruption, but I am not a person who would easily give up, you see. So I restarted and continued where it left off. That's the best way to live. And you don't see me crying about it. You don't see me complain about it. You see that I am very patient. As a matter of fact, a little barrier, a little obstacle, or a little disruption has no effect on me. That's the best way to live. You see, in all those years, as you asked me, that I have lived, what is the best way? So, the best way to live like this, where you do not get disheartened, where you do not get disappointed with the little obstacles, with the little barriers, when you there is no contradiction in your awareness, there is no friction in your awareness. Imagine yourself, you see, I don't play with words. By now you know it. I'm gonna tell you very straight. I want you to imagine a life without fear. You see, I want you to imagine a life without anger. I want you to imagine a life without discrimination. I want you to imagine a life without doubts in yourself. I want you to imagine a life of unity. I want you to imagine a life of happiness, which is your birthright. When you imagine yourself having all these tendencies and all these qualities, basically you would realize that it would be heaven all around you. You would realize that it would be heaven all around you. Remember, we have talked about that in previous sessions, that heaven basically is not a physical place. Heaven is the state of the being. So when you imagine your life without any negative traits, which is fear, which is resentment, which is discrimination, which is distinction, which is jealousy, uh, which is doubt, and any type of friction in your awareness. When you imagine a life without all these tendencies, then the state of the being basically is heaven right then and there. And that is the best way to live your life, you see, without all these negative traits. However, now you are wondering that it's very easier that you have told us all this, that it is very easier for you to say, and it is very extremely difficult to do, or sometimes it may seem even impossible. So I will tell you this: it's not impossible. If you understand, it's not impossible. You see, it may be difficult. Everything requires time. Everything takes time. You understand? But with the consistency, by knowing yourself, that is the best way to live. When you actually know yourself, that is the perfect and that is the best way to live. When you fully understand yourself and when you know yourself, then you take charge of your life, and all these negative traits, little by little, you would get rid of. If you are determined to lead a happy life, please know nothing happens in a second. Nothing happens in an hour or in one night time. You see, everything takes time, but it is very possible. It just depends how serious you are. The key to get rid of these type of emotions, the key of these type of negative emotions, of course, um, the key to get rid of these type of negative emotion is basically hidden under how much you know yourself. Because if you pay close attentions to these emotions, excuse me, that I just listed, uh, you would realize most of these emotions are being generated by a reaction to a situation. You see, and I would be honest with you, all these emotions that I just uh, not long ago, all these emotions that I listed, all these emotions, you can fairly say that this is karma. There is no bad karma or good karma. There remains just karma. You see, and karma is just karma. These emotions that I listed not long ago, they are karma. By understanding and by knowing yourself fully, we can get rid of these negative emotions, because these negative emotions bring a funny feeling in what we understand in our solar perplex. You see, every time we have any of these negative emotions, we feel very uncomfortable. Every time we have any type of resentment or friction, or any time we do not like the situation we see around us, that may include a person in our surrounding, it we don't like these feelings and we try to get rid of these feelings. If you understand what I am saying, as soon as any of these negative emotion occur, we try to get rid of these negative emotions, you see, so we can feel comfortable. But that may be a temporary solution. When people do not like what they feel, unfortunately, for the most part of their day or a fair amount of time during their day, they try to get involved in different type of addictions. They try to get involved in different type of activities so they can basically divert their mind. But this is just like that you are not taking care of the wound, you are not attending the root of the wound, but you are rather trying to put a band-aid on the wound. So that would never happen. So the answer to that is that the life of one basically without any fear, the life of one without any judgment or the doubt is the life which is the best way to live. And yes, I said that it may seem very difficult on times, but it is very possible. And that is the good news, because if not all the time, a fair amount of time during my day, I do it. And remember what I have told you before, that when I can do it, so can you. You see, um, the thing is, we all have to challenge in order to take that step towards the best way to live. Is we all have to challenge the things other people have handed to us. We need to look at all the things that we have agreed on, that if it is friendly to us, if it makes any sense, what kind of change it would bring in our life, and what would be the repercussions or the long term consequences if I adopt something. We need to look into it. Just because majority, sometime, please remember that this is very important for you to understand, that it sometimes what majority believes is not the authority. You understand, a lot of people can believe in something which is not true. And only with the passage of time they realize that all that what we are believing is not true. For example, a few centuries back, if if for example a few centuries back, a lot of humanity on this very planet Earth believed that the earth is flat and the elephants are holding it. I'm sure I have mentioned this example before, but some of the topics that I am talking, or I am choosing rather, more frequently are the topics that there is no amount of words or the conversation which is enough to give more clarity. Anyway, so most of the humanity a few centuries back, they believe that the earth is basically flat and elephants are holding it. Now, after a few centuries back, all the humanity basically believes that's not the case. The earth is round, and absolutely and for sure, no elephants are holding the earth. Please understand that. So it's not necessary that if most of the people are believing in something that is true. Right now, more than half of the humanity, unfortunately, living in superstitions. More than half of the humanity is living in things that are not close to any type of truth. Um, most of humanity. But what is untrue. Even if the majority of people are believing in something, it does not necessarily make it is true. Now imagine there is no future, but I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, imagine that people 300 or 400 years ahead of us, and they are in the future, and they look at us right now, what they would think. They would think, oh my god, look at these people, they are living in serious superstitions. You see, a superstition such as uh, God is something which exists outside of you. A superstition which is, if the words indicate any type of truth. The superstition or the assumption in which um, that three-dimensional reality is real. These are all the illusions, unfortunately, that more than half of us humans are living. The source of creation, if when you transcend yourself, there comes a time in your life that you realize the source of creation is within creation. The source of creation basically cannot be separated from the creation. That's why in many circles, spiritual circle and the religious circles, it is said that please do not judge. So that is the reason that you judge the creation. Of course, you are judging the creator. So, but is yet more than half of the humanity believes that God exists something outside of themselves. So when we are living in these type of superstitions, we cannot get to the truth. In order to get to the truth, I'm giving you the answer that what is the best way to live and what is my perception as far as living the best way. So the living, of course, the answer is living the best way is to know yourself fully and completely. You exist on numerous different levels. You exist on numerous different stages. And you are humongous. Your existence is humongous. What is real you is not subject to birth and the death. You see what I'm saying? I can keep going as far as words, but I don't want you to believe it. I don't want you to disbelieve it. I want you to remain open and see where this would lead you. You understand what I'm saying? It's very important to follow what I'm saying. If you don't believe, you don't disbelieve, you still are open towards it and you question yourself what this person is telling me, where this would lead me. It would lead you to liberation. Liberation from a lot of negative traits. The more you would know yourself, the more you would understand that there is no need to fear. It would eliminate one by one or little by little every day all these negative traits out of your awareness only if you are serious enough and only if you are interested enough. You see, because fear, things specifically fear is just like a plague. Fear is just like a cancer, basically, and it is spreading every day on a very fast speed throughout the globe. You see, and if a lot of people who are living in fear, doing a lot of what the word I'm looking for, doing a lot of wacky things, you see, just because out of fear, just because out of assumptions. The expression only what if that human go for the most part can literally ruin somebody's life. You understand? So the best way, the more we understand ourselves, the more we would confront our fears. Fear is the primary, basically. That's the reason I'm talking a little more or in detail about fear. Fear grows in obscurity. Fear grows in making assumptions. Fear grows when we don't learn to leave something alone if we don't have enough facts. Fear grows because the mind we have, the thinking mind, can only answer you what you already know. And it wants to come to a rest. And when, of course, it cannot rest, it would keep going. So, this is how fear grows in us. And when a mind, you understand, please follow my words, a mind which is so caught up in fear, a mind which is so caught up in fear, a mind which is so caught up in assumptions, a mind which is so caught up in illusions, a mind which is so caught up in doubt is not capable of living the best way of life. So, in order to live the best way, we need to confront these things. We need to look at the fear, that what exactly is happening here. Do I have enough facts about it? We need to confront the fear. The what is happening here? Do I have enough facts about it? Am I scared on the basis of assumptions if I don't have enough facts about a certain situation? All these things we need to look profoundly. As soon as any of these negative, as I said not long ago, as soon as any of these negative emotions occur in our awareness, we try to get rid of it by involving or getting ourselves involved in more and more activities around us, you see. But if we can maintain the focus on things, and that would only come in our awareness when we know ourselves fully, okay, then there would not be room for any type of negative traits, specifically fear, because then we would realize, and then and only then we would understand that there is nothing to fear about. Then we would understand the life energy, basically, which is running through this accumulation, is not subject to birth and is not subject to death. You see, the accumulation is subject to birth and the accumulation is subject to death, but not the life energy. If you understand what I'm saying. So the life energy, which is the manifestation of what we truly are, cannot be born or cannot die. You see. So then there remains nothing to fear about. When we lose by looking ourselves so closely, by bringing transparency in our awareness, then we realize that there is nothing really to be scared of. There is nothing really to fear about, because when we lose the fear of death, of course, there remains no point pretty much to be feared or be scared of anything else. You see, the major thing I see humans every day on the regular basis, and the major thing I see that they are caught up in fear. A mind which is so caught up in fear, a mind which is so caught up in assumptions or the doubt in oneself or anxiety, is not capable of living a happy life. You see, that's why we see that humans get involved in a lot of things outside of themselves, because they want to subside those negative feelings that keeps them restless. It's like putting, as I mentioned long ago, as I mentioned not long ago, that it's just like putting a band-aid on your wound but not taking care of the root of the wound. You see, it's never gonna help. You would keep changing the band-aid on the wound over and over and over, and the wound would remain the same. If we need to heal the wound, we need to go to the root of it. So if we need to get rid of the fear, if we need to get rid of the assumptions, if we need to get rid of doubts in ourselves and all these negative traits, we need to look at the very fundamental cause of it. And the fundamental cause of all these negative traits is the one self don't take time, unfortunately, to understand that how this functions. You see, I'm not talking about myself or precisely you or personally you. I'm talking about to whom it is concerned. You understand? And that's how, or for the most part, the humanity, for the most part, is acting that way. So it would never go away. It would subside, but then it would rise, just like a thought. You see, just like a thought which keeps you restless. A thought keeps you restless. A thought can create doubt in yourself. You understand? It's a thought, it's nothing. So let's look into it, what's happening. It's the data that you have gathered through your five senses. It's a thought. It's the data that you have gathered through your five senses is rearranging over and over different scenarios based on the same data. Are you following with me? Different scenarios based on the same data is just keep rearranging over and over and making different scenarios. You are not knowing anything. However, the thought, if you understand or you think the thought is real, means it's telling you something real, and it creates a fear in you, it creates a doubt in you, then it means that you need to take a serious look at yourself, that what is going on. You see, without bringing awareness, without bringing clarity in your perception, you would just keep believing everything which has been handed over to you, and you would assume that it is natural. A thought abuses a person, a thought creates fear in a person, a thought creates doubt in a person. I'm not saying that every thought does that. However, there are thoughts and fair amount of those thoughts that carry these type of negative emotions in you. You understand? So if you do not understand, the thought has no existential reality. What is real has existential reality. If you do not look at these things so closely as I have been doing in last numerous minutes, then there is, unfortunately, there is no chance of living a good life or living the best way, you see, because you would remain caught up in fear, in the doubt, in assumptions. You would remain caught up in the psychological drama, unfortunately, and you would not come out of it. You see, you have to look very carefully at everything what's been handed over to you. You have to question if it is making sense to you. You see, if it has a shred of truth in that, if it is making sense to you, if it is friendly, if it is not going against your very nature, you understand, then adopt it. It means that it's healthy. However, if it is not, if it is based on superstitions, if it is based on fear, if it is based on assumptions, if it is a stop in the very expression of your life that you are living, then leave it. You see, that's the best way to find out what is coming from sacred and what is coming from devil. You understand? That is the best way to find out what is coming from divine and what is coming from devil. That is the best way. Anything which makes you happy. You understand what I'm saying? Naturally happy without any human conditioning, I'm saying. Anything. For I would give you an example. What does it mean to be naturally happy? You see, sometime when you do an act of selfless, not selfish, but an act of selfless, when you help somebody without getting anything in return, when you help somebody without any greed of a reward, you see, when you just do it for the sake of it, you feel extremely happy and you feel your energy is vibrating. So when this is coming from, of course, divine, this is coming from sacred, you would automatically feel the pleasure. The pleasant feeling is risen in you. You would automatically feel, but something which is stopping the very expression of my life. Like you see somebody is doing something wrong, or something is happening which is wrong, but you have the thoughts in your mind, even though you are capable. I'm giving you an example. Even though if we are capable, but if we trust our thought process, if we trust something which is not real, we wouldn't be able to do something about it to change that situation which is not in favor for anybody. You see, because we are so caught up in fear. So we have to challenge all these thoughts which are occurring in our mind, that what they are saying to us. You understand what they are telling us? Are they friendly to us? And then these are all the measures that I have been explaining to you so profoundly, and these are all the measures that I have been explaining to you so deeply. If you take these right measures, this is how you live. This is the gist of to live a happy life. You understand? This is the gist of living a happy life. That you have no fear in yourself. You don't. Yes, thoughts are important. Through thoughts, you can manifest. Through thoughts, you can create powerful situations. Through thought, you can manifest your reality, or you can deliver that what you. I am not condemning the thought process. However, what I'm saying is, when human, unfortunately, becomes extremely caught up in the psychological drama, when the thought process goes against the human, when the thought process abuses the human, thought like you are never good enough, thought like what are you doing among these nice people, thought like you this is I am scared, thought, I mean anything. We will definitely finish what we started. However, you heard the bell. Okay, we'll start a meditation session soon. So I'm just about to wrap up. Anything which is trying to seize the expression of the beautiful life, basically, we have to look into it. We have to challenge it. We have to see and examine it very carefully and with tremendous focus. If it is friendly to us or if it is not friendly to us. The fear based on assumptions, the fear based on doubt, the fear based on inadequate information or knowledge about a particular thing or a particular scenario is the fear that can seize also the expression of our life. So we have to look into it. What I'm saying in the nutshell, that looking into everything what's been handed over to us closely and examine it profoundly and see if it makes sense to you and if it is friendly to you. Looking at your own self, making time every day for your own self. I keep saying that in every message that I deliver. That looking profoundly at yourself and seeing yourself, that what am I, who am I, how do I function, create sufficient distance between the accumulation and what we essentially are, and realizing not through a psychological drama, not through a thought process, but practically realizing that I am beyond my mind or psychological drama, and I am beyond this accumulation or body. Realizing that, but not theoretically, you see, not theoretically, but realizing profoundly from the root of your essence would give you liberation, because you would understand that what you essentially are is not subject to the birth and not subject to death. You see, understand, it would give you liberation. It would take more than half of your fears away. So these are the key points. The key points is are these. So if ponder about that. See what I have said in this retreat makes any sense to you. If you have any questions or comments, I am always here to answer your inquiries because my mission is to bring humanity in a form of unity. You see, my mission is basically the humanity is unite. My mission is to promote a totally healthy and fear free society. Imagine a society which has no fear, doubts, discrimination, distinctions, jealousy, envy, resentments, and all that. So that society itself is heaven. That's what my mission is. And not only personally my mission, but the mission of every yogi on this planet. You see, so pondered about that place. Oh.